Mercy, you finally arrived. Wipe the dust from your shoes and come in, sugar. Your presence will be such a tonic for poor dear Mrs. Beaumont. She's been fanning herself by the window in a state of absolute agitation awaiting you. Now, if y'all can find it in your hearts to indulge us for one fleeting afternoon, we are going to make a brave pretense of having actually paid attention in those drafty schoolrooms of our youth. We are going to cast our eyes upon some literature. Oh, honey, don't recoil like a wilted gardenia. We had that very same visceral reaction, I assure you. But please don't fret. This won't be some dreary moth-eaten fourth-grade book report, and it most certainly is not that wretched English 101 paper you ghost wrote for that adorably dull fraternity boy, the one with the jawline of a god and the intellect of a damp brick. You must forgive the intrusion of my own voice, but our poor dear Mrs. Beaumont has been quite overcome by a sudden affliction of the nerves. She is currently indisposed in the parlor, so you shall have to make do with me as your narrator. In the shadows of the South, music is never merely a matter of meter or rhyme. It is a blood pulse, a haunting choir rising from the red clay and the stagnant swamp water. These melodies are our true inheritance, carrying the weight of a century's grief and glory in the time it takes for a tallow candle to flicker and die. My dear child, I beg of you, stifle that ghastly giggling. It is shivering the very glass in the chandeliers.
Oh, stifle it? Stifle it, you say, like a guttering candle in a drafty hallway? My dear, you might as well ask the Ashley to cease its crawling or tell the cicadas to hush their screaming in the break. It's the audacity of it, the sheer delicious audacity.
Within the span of a few desperate minutes, a song unearths the same ghosts that Capote, Flagg, and Mitchell spent hundreds of ink-stained pages trying to exorcise, the secrets they buried in chapters of typeset prose, the family rot, the hidden sins, and the fierce, jagged beauty of our land are all laid bare in the vibration of a single steel string. You must overlook her behavior. She has been possessed by this infernal hysterical laughter ever since we settled upon this particular melody. But do not be deceived by her porcelain exterior. I assure you she isn't suffering from any blow to her delicate sensibilities. No, this unseemly fit was brought on by nothing more than the echo of her own wicked tongue. She is simply drowning in the delight of her own highly inappropriate jests.
I am quite beyond the reach of your decorum. It's the joke, don't you see? The terrible, wicked punchline of it all. It's humming in my blood like a cheap corn liquor. My sensibilities aren't wounded. No, they are dancing. They are dancing a scandalous little jig on the grave of my own reputation. Don't look at me with such spoon in your eyes. I'm not breaking. I'm simply spilling over. I am a vessel, darling, and the contents are far too volatile for such a fragile afternoon. Now, pay me no mind and continue. I will take my nerve pills, then retire to bed for the duration.
Deep in the pine barrens, where the ghosts of the old world still rattle the screen doors of every shotgun shack, there is a secret kept under the brim of a Stetson, a secret as old as the red clay itself. Now listen close, for the tale is told by two men, one with a face etched like the limestone of the hill country, and the other a masked stranger, whose fringe hides eyes that have seen the lonely stretches of the panhandle.
This is not the South of silk fans and fainting couches. This is the South of the work-worn hand, the grease-stained Western shirt, and the grit that finds its way into the marrow of a man's bones. Long ago, when the first hoofbeats drummed against the earth, the Great Spirit whispered that the heart is a wild thing, unbridled and blind to the fences men build. But in the towns, under the watchful gaze of the steeple and the courthouse clock, a man must wear his toughness like a suit of iron. They call 'em the good old boys, the defenders of the way things have always been. Yet Ned Sublette, a man who saw the truth through the neon haze of 1981, knew the iron was thin. He wrote a testament to the shadows, a ballad that Willie Nelson, the red-headed stranger, carried like a holy relic until he met the masked Bronco, Orville Peck. In this 2024 duet, the clack of Willie's guitar, trigger, sounds like the rhythmic pulse of a wagon train moving across a dry wash. It is the Bakersfield Sound, dusty and sharp, accompanied by a harmonica that wails like a motherless child in the night. They sing of the secret fondness, a phrase that lingers on the tongue like the taste of chicory. They speak of the truck stops and the faded blue jeans, the props of a masculine theater, where the leathery hands of laborers find a brief, desperate sanctuary. See the metaphor of the double-sized bed, a quiet clearing in the middle of a tangled forest. Outside, the saddle symbolizes the heavy, rugged burden a man must carry to prove he's a man. But inside that room, the rigid hierarchy of the ranch and the rodeo dissolves. The narrator observes these men like a quiet hunter watching deer at a salt lick, noting the way a draw can soften when the sun goes down. It is the same hidden freight that Carson McCullers described, the silent weight of an identity that cannot find its breath in the open air. By bringing a gentleman like Peck into the fold of the white working-class mythos, the song carves a new notch in the totem pole of our history. It reminds us that the cowboy, that sun-bleached archetype of the frontier, has never belonged to just one kind of man. The masks we wear, whether they are made of leather and fringe or the invisible masks of social expectation, eventually become too heavy to hold. This is the Southern Gothic truth. Beneath the hillbilly drag and the bravado of the pickup truck, there is a softness that the South has tried to bury under the floorboards for generations. When Willie Nelson lends his voice to this manifesto, he is the elder chief giving the young warriors permission to be whole. He acknowledges that the secrets in the shadows are just as real as the light on the horizon. It is a monument of subversion, a song that takes the very tools used to define the tough Southern man and uses them to dismantle the wall, proving that the Cowboys have been fond of each other since the first fire was lit on the plains.
Do you realize that you mispronounced Truman Capote's name? And I only wondered if sweet Orville needed his mask and fringe to hide his face in Willie's infamous cloud.
Now don't stand there looking at me with those wide, wounded eyes, honey. I can't bear a scene when the humidity's this high. If you're looking for that melody, that sweet, aching little tune we just talked about, it's waiting for you down in the description. It's tucked away like a love letter you weren't supposed to find, but there it is, plain as the moon over the delta. And listen to me, sugar, don't be cruel. Reach out your hand and tap that like icon, and for heaven's sake, subscribe to us. A soul needs a little attention to keep from fading away into the wallpaper, and we've always depended on the kindness of strangers like you.